like to call the regular council meeting of the City of Twinsburg to order. Tuesday, October 22nd meeting. Shannon, please call the roll.
Mr. Steele?
Here.
Ms. McFerrin?
Here.
Mr. Bellin?
Here.
Mr. Fury?
Here.
Mrs. Stoffer?
Here.
Mr. Barr?
Here.
Mr. Scafidi?
Here.
Next, I'd like to join Mr. Fury in the invocation of the Pledge of Allegiance.
Father, you guide and govern everything in order and love. Look upon the assembly of our city's leaders and fill them with the spirit of your wisdom. May they always act in accordance with your will and their decisions be for the peace and well-being of all. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next on the agenda is the approval of the minutes from the October 8th meeting. Everybody get a chance to go through those?
Make a motion that we accept the minutes as presented.
I'll second.
Oh, okay.
Ms. McFerrin, second. Shannon, call the roll.
Mr. Fury?
Yes.
Ms. McFerrin?
Yes.
Mr. Scafidi?
Yes.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mrs. Stoffer?
Yes.
Mr. Bellin?
Yes.
Mr. Steele?
Yes. Next on the agenda is awards and presentations. First is Community Cleanup Day.
Daisy?
Hi, Daisy Walker, and I'm on the Environmental Commission. And I just want to show you a few clips of our cleanup on October 12th. And as that's showing, I'm going to talk. The 9th Annual Environmental Commission Cleanup on Saturday, October 12th, was a great success. Thank you to everyone who came to help. We had about 60 plus volunteers, including members of the Twinsburg football team, the 11 and under travel baseball team, the St. Narotkin mission, which included 15 people, and they were from Strongsville and Solon, Ohio, numerous high school students, and several Twinsburg families. In addition to the 60 plus cleanup volunteers, Twinsburg search team had several members providing traffic control for volunteers working in the busier streets. Assistant Fire Chief Steve Basso and with the Widow's Sons and Matt Metzer Fraternal Order of Oddfellows volunteered to grill food for lunch. Donations from Twinsburg Township, Starbucks, and Dunkin' Donuts kept everyone well fed. Mayor Yates was our greeter and thanked everyone for coming to the 9th annual cleanup event to help keep Twinsburg naturally beautiful. Derek Schroeder, Director of Parks and Rec and Public Works, provided much support in organizing the event. Overall, we collected approximately 25 plus bags, not counting the bags from Bill Hahn. Areas cleaned including Glen Chamberlain Park, Creekside, Liberty Road near Liberty Park, Vale Drive, Glenwood Drive, Chamberlain Road at 480, and from Route 82 to Highland Road and 91 near 480. We would like to thank Councilman Bill Fury. He participated in our cleanup. He picked up several bags of trash on 91 near 480. Also, thanks to Bill and Linda Angus on Frederick Lane. I think they were the first couple that you saw on the screen. They picked up 2.5 bags of trash from Post Road to Cannon Road on both sides. So I hope you enjoyed that mini clip. I think we have about 3 of those, so if you ever want to go back and think about the Environmental Commission and how many years we've been doing it for 9 years and just reminisce or put it in your archives, wherever you want to put it, but at least you do have some of our works that we have done since I've been on there for almost 16 years. So I thank you very much for watching.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next is dedication. Mayor?
We had our 100th anniversary dinner last Friday, and the Mullis family was asked to be guests, and they didn't know why, but they found out later on. Some background, Emo Mullis was the only line of duty death from our fire department back in 1954, and we decided that we wanted to pay homage to him, so we got with the mayor and council, and we are dedicating the entryway from Station 2 as Emo Mullis Way. So this is not the first time that Ed's seen this, but up here is some Emo's family. They're longtime Twinsburg residents. The Mullis homestead is actually still there, and Ed lives 2 doors down. And Lori Benz is actually a teacher in the school district, so they're longtime Twinsburg residents and just great community members. So I'd like to have you come up, and the sign will be going up this week. Bobby Schultz from the service department actually did the sign, did a great job. Very well. This is actually the one that's going up there.
Yeah, that
Earl, you want to come on up? Sure. Tonight we get the honor of swearing in Earl Wilson as a lieutenant at our fire department. He's been with the department since September of 1993. It's a long time. I know he's very well respected in the department. It's exciting for us to be able to be with you in this promotion. I know the department's excited to have Earl and have him continue on in this leadership position. So if you can, we'll swear you in. If you would, raise your right hand. I, Earl R. Wilson, do hereby swear that I will support and defend the Constitution and laws of the United States of America, the Constitution and laws of the State of Ohio, the Charter, ordinances, and resolutions of the City of Twinsburg, Ohio, and will faithfully, honestly, and impartially discharge the duties as a fire lieutenant of the Twinsburg Fire Department to the best of my ability, as I shall answer to God. Congratulations.
Yeah, as the mayor said, Earl joined us in September of '93, and he was actually the first of a group of guys that got hired from the outside that didn't have a previous connection with the department, and he's starting to fit in. So we are very pleased. He is a very motivated, talented individual, and he has demonstrated his leadership capabilities, so we're just looking forward to what the future holds. Congratulations.
Okay, we're going to take a short break for 5 minutes here. Cake out in the lobby.
pictures? Yeah.
Return to the agenda. Next up is audience participation.
There is none.
There is
None.
Wow.
None. I know.
Wow.
I mean, here's proof. No one signed up.
City said that's.
Okay, next is council communication and committee reports. Mr. Pellin.
Good evening. I attended the annual fire department open house on Wednesday, October 9th. There was an outstanding turnout on a beautiful fall evening. I wanted to thank the men and women of the fire department for hosting such an amazing event. I also attended last night's Meet the Candidates night by the Twinsburg County Council PTA and the Chamber of Commerce. Thanks to all the candidates who came out as well as the residents who attended. I attended this evening's Finance Committee meeting as well as a meeting with the State Auditor. I'll allow one of my colleagues to report on those. The Architectural Review Board met on Thursday, October 17th. There were 11 cases on the agenda. Try to get through them quickly. Case 1910-101 was a storage shed located at 8380 Darrow Road, which was approved. Case 1910-102 were awnings for Master Crafters at 9700 Ravenna Road, which was approved. Case 1910-103 was a monument sign for Master Crafters at 9700 Ravenna Road, also approved. Cases 1910-104 and 1910-105 were new single-family homes in Quarry Reserve, Boulderbrook, located at 3051 Wyatt's Way and 3057 Wyatt's Way, were approved as submitted. Case 1910-106 was a new single-family home at 1655 Bridget Lane, which was approved. The final 5 cases of the evening were all single-family homes in the new Whispering Woods section. Case 1910-107 was at 8820 Maryville Drive. Case 1910-108 was at 8835 Maryville Drive. Case 1910-109 was at 8841 Maryville Drive. Case 1910-110 was at 8861 Maryville Drive. Case 1910-111 was at 8871 Maryville Drive. All 5 cases were approved. The next Architectural Review Board meeting will be held on Thursday, November 7th, 6 p.m. here in Council Chambers. And the final Golf Advisory Board meeting of 2019 will be held on Tuesday, November 19th, 6:30 p.m. here in Council Chambers. That concludes my report for this evening. Thank you, sir.
Mr. Bart.
Thank you, sir. As did Mr. Bellin, I attended the fire department open house and just again want to thank them for hosting such a wonderful event. It's amazing to see such a great turnout. It's a positive event. Everybody comes together, and I just hope we continue to do that. It's wonderful. My kids look forward to it every year. I also attended the candidates night last night at Chamberlain School. Very, very informative event, and I'm really glad that that was put together. I know that it was videotaped, and I believe some of it was live streamed. So I think they're working to try and get some video of that event out as well. Planning Commission was scheduled for last night, and it was canceled due to a lack of applications. The next Planning Commission meeting is scheduled right now for Monday, November 4th, and it'll be here in Council Chambers at 7 p.m. I'd like to thank Ms. Walker for her presentation on the Community Cleanup Day, which was October 12th, and personally thank everybody that came out, including the Odd Fellows and the Widow Sons motorcycle clubs for grilling and providing us food. We had some great sponsors. It was just a terrific event. And again, I can't stress it enough. That's a great way for everybody from Twinsburg to get together and do something we all love, which is taking care of our town and trying to keep Twinsburg beautiful. The following Saturday, or this past Saturday, was the Community Shredding Day, and the Environmental Commission sponsors that event every year. It's a free annual event. Shred It was on site at Public Works. It was started about 9 a.m., finished at noon, and we had just a terrific turnout. Like usual, before 9 a.m., cars were lined up all the way to Ravenna Road. We shredded about 9,500 pounds of paper, and that'll all be recycled, so it doesn't make its way into landfills, and we securely get rid of documents for our residents as a free service. Thank you to the Public Works employees that came out and spent a Saturday, a beautiful Saturday at that, helping us out, and to all the environmental commissioners that volunteered their time and their families' time to come out and help us. On the same vein, Simple Recycling, that's a program that is continually going on throughout the city of Twinsburg. Simple recycling is the clothing and small household items, and that is those are the bags that you get. It's picked up every Tuesday with your trash recycling, but it's not for typical items to be recycled. So no glass, no paper, no plastics. And this program costs the city nothing, and it's nothing for cost the residents nothing to use the service. So far this year, the residents of Twinsburg have donated 13,873 pounds of, again, clothing and small household items, and kept that out of landfills. The month of September alone, over 1,800 pounds, almost 1,900 pounds were collected. Finally, on the Environmental Commission, we're really promoting reusable bags. Thin film plastics are a scourge on the recycling equipment, and they end up blowing into the trees, and we see them on the side of the roads as blue and white bags that every grocery chain and retailer in America seems to have. So we are trying to promote the use of recyclable bags. They're much more sustainable, and you can use them time and time again. Twinsburg Giant Eagle is giving out gift cards to customers using recyclable bags. They have a drawing for a monthly gift card. So if you show up to the Twinsburg Giant Eagle with recyclable bags, you can be involved in that. We are also, the Environmental Commission is also working with Twinsburg Giant Eagle to give gift cards to Twinsburg residents who are quote unquote caught using their own recyclable bag. They've donated 8 gift cards. Environmental Commission has purchased 2 more, and reusable bags. And then the commissioners will be given a gift card and bag to promote their use, very similar to this, and they'll get a $5 discount off of purchases shopping at Giant Eagle. The next Environmental Commission meeting is the beginning of next year. I don't have the exact date yet, but as we get a little bit closer, I will report on that. And that is all I have this evening. Thank you.
Mr. Scafidi.
Oh, thank you. The Board of Zoning Appeals met on October 9th. We had one appeal before them, was appeal number 7, 2019. That was a East Idlewood resident in to construct a proposed addition to their, an addition to the back of their house, approximately 36 feet from the rear property line. So they were looking for a 14-foot rear yard setback variance. The board approved it 5-0. The meeting ended, and there is at this point no other Board of Zoning Appeals meeting scheduled for the rest of the month. I also attended the fire department open house, and like Mr. Barr and Mr. Bellin, it was a great night, always a great turnout, and thank you to everybody involved in the fire department that put that together. Other than that, that's the end of my report tonight. Thank you.
Mrs. Stauffer.
My committees have not met, so I have no report tonight.
Mr. Fury.
Good evening. Earlier this evening, the Finance Committee met to work on the 2020 budget. Our starting point for the 2020 budget versus the 2019 budget is slightly less, about $300,000 less than we finished with the 19 budget. This evening we heard from Chief Noga, Chief Morgan, and Amy Moore for the police, fire, and engineering departments. Our next meeting will be scheduled on November 27th at 6 p.m. We also had an overview of the city performance audit. We are doing a citywide audit and a deep dive on police, fire, and park and rec. They're in the process of gathering peer information, and will update us in the next month. I also had the opportunity to go to the firehouse open house where Chief Morgan showed us drawings and information on the new fire truck that's in the final stages and should be purchased before the end of the year. That was allocated in this year's budget, so that is not next year's capital. It will be a carryover if the day will sign the final contract. But it's my understanding it should be shortly. I also attended a CERT picnic on Sunday. I'm a CERT member, and the mayor and I had the opportunity to go and meet with the rest of the group. Chief Basso or Assistant Chief Basso did a fantastic job of organizing it, and there's really the energy behind that group. I participated in Shredding Day. I waited in line and gave them my stuff. I really appreciate Scott Barr and Daisy Walker and everybody for handling that. You know, the truck was a few minutes late, so we had a line all the way out to Ravenna Road, but it's really a fantastic service, again, that we offer the residents. I would like to congratulate Lieutenant Earl Wilson for being sworn in earlier today. I had the opportunity to sit through a presentation he did on interconnectivity of radios that was done as part of a CERT training. And he is a really sharp individual, and I'm looking forward to seeing more of him as a lieutenant in our fire department. At this time, I'd like Mark Kutowski to lower the lights, and we'll play an instructional conceptual video of what 47 issues 46 and 47 will be for the rezoning of the property that's located at the corner of Route 91 in Darrow to R5. Thanks, Mark. Thank you, Mark. That's a digital rendering of what could be there, but the type of housing that's available in R5 is single family, cluster, and some standalone. That would be, I seem to have a lot of feedback here. We expect that to be about a $20 million investment in the city. Should yield about $340,000 in school property taxes, and about $40,000 in income taxes, as well as the estimated earnings of $5.1 million should go back into our economy through shopping, restaurants, and area. When my wife saw this, the first thing she said is, "What would happen to the house that's right next to the Century home that's up on the hill?" Actually, Dwayne Smith lives there, and he's very much in favor of this. He's actually campaigning for it. So that house would not be affected by this property, and the property owner is in favor of it at this point. So Anyway, there'll be more information sent out to residents in the next week or so to give you an idea of what could be there. And council has unanimously passed a resolution that any funds that would come from the sale of that property would go towards clubhouse debt. So that's all I have this evening. Thank you.
Ms. McFerrin.
Parks and Rec will be meeting this Thursday here at 6:30. I also attended the Firehouse Open House. I look forward to that every year. The kids' smiles are priceless. I did attend the BCA meeting that same night. I did attend the finance meeting today and the state auditors update meetings, and I was at the Meet the Candidates site last night. So that's all I have.
Okay. I was here for the Finance Committee meeting, the auditors meeting early this evening. I did get to the fire department's open house. Watched one of our young guys on the fire department rappel off the front of the bucket, and it reminded me why I wore dark blue and drove around in circles for all that time, because I don't like heights. I was at the candidates night last night. I just have one question though about the rezoning, because I've seen some different numbers. I think, what do we think that we would net from the sale of the property?
I think, I mean, right now there's probably numbers somewhere in excess of $1 million. It really, it depends. I mean, it would all be appraised. I mean, I've seen numbers thrown out there as high as 1.8, but I don't know. I don't know that from a development standpoint, if you start looking at, and I've had these discussions with Larry Finch and the department, you know, you start looking at probably $30,000, $40,000 per lot in terms of the value, you know, that puts the numbers up there for a developer to come in there. But I think, you know, probably $1 million or in excess of $1 million is a fair number. But again, until it's appraised and put it out on the market, you're really not going to know. You know, the rezoning would help, you know, and I guess one thing to say about that is, you know, I've got questions about, well, the houses look so big. Understand this is just a digital model, so, you know, if you're going to spend significant money to have someone actually design the houses and then feed it into the digital world, it gets very, very expensive. So, you know, what was proposed here is something that I guess provide kind of just a visual for the residents to say, okay, how would a development fit in there? Would things be a little different? Probably. But again, it just, the last time there was, I think, confusion on the ballot, and after the fact, I mean, there was questions about from the residents, and so I think this time just trying to give a visual of what could actually be built there, and the type of residences and the homes that could be offered. But I think that R5 gives us a little bit more control over what can be built there, because if for some reason council determines that property has no municipal purpose and they want to sell it, which it has value, then the zoning could, you know, we really don't know what the zoning could end up being. So.
Okay. Next we are on.
Oh, right. Can we go back?
Yeah, Mr. Scafidi wants to.
Yeah, I need to go back 1 second to the Board of Zoning Appeals. I wanted to make a motion on Appeal 07-2019 that we wait a 30-day waiting period. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Fury seconds. I just want to make one thing clear. Last time I made a motion to waive a 30-day period, I think some believed that what we were doing up here was approving the variance, which is not the case. The variance has already been approved by the Board of Zoning Appeals. And what would happen is that the resident could come back in 30 days and get their permits. By us making this motion and waiving the 30-day waiting period, they're able to come back in tomorrow and get permits and start their building. So that's all we're doing. We're not approving the variance at all. The Board of Zoning Appeals does that. So if there's no other discussion or questions, I'm sorry?
Where?
The address.
Oh, this is on East Idlewood. This is the one I
Oh.
mentioned earlier.
Okay.
Yeah, for the room addition. Okay.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Shannon, would you call the roll?
Mr. Scafidi?
Yes.
Mr. Fury?
Yes.
Mrs. Stoffer?
Yes.
Mr. Steele?
Yes.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Bellin?
Yes.
Ms. McFerrin?
Yes.
Thank you. That's all I have. Thanks.
Okay. Mayor?
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. A couple of things. Just thank the Environmental Commission for organizing the community cleanup and the shredding. Those are always great events. We're very fortunate this year that Coach Bell brought almost the entire football team. I was surprised because we usually kind of, especially when the weather was like it was, you never know how many people are going to show up. But yeah, I guess he was a little frustrated and wanted to make him walk around the community and clean up a little bit. So it was good. So you had a great turnout for that, and I know it really helps the city. I also went to the surf picnic. Thank Assistant Chief Basso for, first of all, organizing that group. I was able to make some comments to him and thank him because any event that we have here in Twinsburg, our CERT actually touches it. I mean, if they're directing traffic, they're controlling crowds. They really have become an invaluable resource for us for all the programming and everything that we have going on in the city. So it was nice to be able to thank them for the work that they do. I also went to the open house. Again, that's a great event. I encourage everyone to attend that, whether you have kids or don't have kids. If you can't tolerate kids, I would say probably don't go, but because there's a lot of them running around screaming and yelling. But they have a great time, and our fire department, I know, really loves showing off their equipment, what they do, where they work, and it's just it's a fantastic event. It's probably one of our biggest events here we have in Twinsburg. I also went to the 100th anniversary of our fire department, and that was a really special evening. It was on Friday night. Really got to kind of help them celebrate the time that they've been here. You know, they started as a bucket brigade back in 1919. So I mean, it was just they had a great video that showed kind of the history of the department and how they've grown and progressed. So I was glad I was invited to that and able to share that evening with them. I also attend, and I've mentioned this before, so in Summit and Portage County, we get service directors and mayors together just to kind of talk about what's happening in our communities, what changes are going on, what challenges they may have in the service department and taking care of our residents, and maybe looking at ways that we can kind of share resources and become more efficient in our operations. So I want to thank Streetsboro for hosting it this past one. We do it every quarter, but it's something that I've always been involved in, and Chris Campbell, our service director, we've always been involved in. We have about 10, 12 communities that show up, and it's really a good discussion. Sometimes we go off on tangents, but it's really a good discussion on the basic services that we provide to our residents. I also attended Mayor Kerbeck's memorial service. And it really was a celebration of life. He had a really great life and a great family, and he was really immersed in his family and all that he did, and he really loved this city and all that he did for it. As I was watching some of the slides and the clips and kind of thinking back to Mayor Kerbeck and all that he's touched here in Twinsburg, I can't imagine the controversy he went through when he spent $12 million and built a fitness center. There was probably 4,000 homes built at the time he was mayor. I mean, orchestrated all the purchase of the land up at Liberty Park, built a water park, built Glen Meadow Park, put in the Center Valley, trail. I mean, I know a lot of the stuff that happens here in the city, and I can imagine how he just kind of probably put up a big shield and just forged right through to make sure those things are done. And you look back on a community and you can't imagine our community without those things today. But it takes a strong hand and I guess a lot of faith to be able to pull a lot of those things off. So, but it was great to see the family, and I know it's a tough time for him, but they really did celebrate his life at it. And then I also want to just congratulate Earl Wilson again. He's been with the department since 1993. This is a great promotion for him. I know he's really excited. His family's excited. And I just thank him personally. I had an opportunity to go into a live fire when we did our controlled burn about a month ago. And the first person that walked over to me to make sure I was buttoned up properly and was going to be safe in a 600-degree room was Earl. So So he has a special place in my heart. So, yeah, kept me safe that day. And then lastly, this is our last meeting before the election, and I just want to, I guess, thank and wish the best to all the candidates that's running for everything. This is a very stressful, emotional, physically exhausting time that we go through, and it's not for the faint-hearted. And I know it's stressful, and there's a lot of things that are within our control and other things out of our control when all this happens within a community. But you know, at the end of the day, it's been as peaceful, I think, as it can be, and I think that we're all going to be here when it's done, and hopefully we're all shaking hands and congratulating each other and whoever may step up into those seats. But again, I want to encourage the residents to vote, and I want to thank all the candidates for stepping up, because I know it's not an easy thing to do. And that's all I have this evening. And I think we just have one report. Ms. Sarah.
Good evening, Council. So Finance is still working with the performance audit team from the state. Right now, we're working on getting as much information as we can from our comparable cities. Our October 2019 income tax receipts came in at $2.12 million compared to last year's October total of 1.9. So that's an increase of 10.39%, or just under $200,000. For the year, we're up 3.61%. So we're at 20.24 million over last year's number year to date at 19.5. That's all I have tonight. Thank you.
That's all we have this evening.
Okay. I want to go back to a couple. I went to the thing for Jim Kerbeck too, and he was a great guy. He did a lot of stuff for our city, and I agree with Ted. I mean, he got stuff done that needed to be done. The second thing, and this is kind of personal, is I made it to went to the FD, the 100-year anniversary there, and it was nice to see a bunch of the old fogies from the fire department. You don't know it now, but we started out with a volunteer fire department, and I remember nights where they'd set the tones off at 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning, and 5-6 minutes later we'd be on driving around as police officers calling on the radio saying set them off again because we didn't see anybody getting up and moving. They have come a long way. They do a great job. They're really good at what they do. Okay. Next, we're on to legislation. First is Ordinance 87, 2019.
An ordinance amending revolving petty cash funds for various departments, repealing all ordinances in conflict therewith.
Stands on its second reading. Next is Ordinance 88, 2019.
An ordinance amending section 1105.01 of the codified ordinances of the city of Twinsburg regarding definition of family as it applies to residential districts in the city.
That stands on its second reading also. Next is Ordinance 89, 2019.
An ordinance amending the current year appropriations for the general revenue account as established in Ordinance 18, 2019, the appropriation ordinance for the city of Twinsburg for the year 2019, and declaring an emergency.
I'd like to make a motion to declare Ordinance 89, 2019 an emergency and place it on its third and final reading. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Mrs. Stauffer. Is there any discussion? Go ahead.
The purpose of the emergency is that we want to take the lights and siren out of a 2004 vehicle and put them on a 2013 vehicle for the assistant fire chief, so that he has a reliable transportation for the city. And we would like to do that as soon as possible.
Shannon, please call the roll.
Mr. Steele?
Yes.
Mrs. Stauffer?
Yes.
Mr. Bellin?
Yes.
Mr. Fury?
Yes.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Scafidi?
Yes.
Ms. McFerrin?
Yes.
Okay, the emergency clause passes 7-0. Next, I'd like to make a motion to adopt Ordinance 89, 2019. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Ms. McFerrin seconds. Any more discussion?
The chief advised us earlier, this is a transfer of funds from his operating budget to a capital budget So it's not an additional expense. It's $6,500, again, for the equipment, and we're just transferring funds from operating to capital, correct?
We're not enlarging the budget.
Yeah.
Right.
Perfect.
We are spending money, but we're not enlarging the budget.
The point I was trying to make. Okay, thank you.
Okay. Shannon, please call the roll.
Mr. Steele?
Yes.
Ms. McPherron?
Yes.
Mrs. Stoffer?
Yes.
Mr. Bellin?
Yes.
Mr. Fury?
Yes.
Mr. Scafidi?
Yes.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Okay, ordinance 89, 2019 passes 7-0. Next is resolution 90, 2019.
A resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into an assignment and assumption of the CRA agreement with Twinsburg Industrial Properties II, LLC, and FedEx Ground.
I'd like to make a motion to adopt resolution 90, 2019. Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Bellin seconds. Any discussion?
Yeah, this agreement is basically, the terms, everything are staying the same, we're just transferring ownership. So the CRA agreement is for the FedEx property, and it's just changing title owners to it, and who's gonna hold it.
Okay. Shannon, please call the roll.
Mr. Steele?
Yes.
Mr. Bellin?
Yes.
Mrs. Stoffer?
Yes.
Ms. McPherron?
Yes.
Mr. Scafidi?
Yes.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Fury?
Yes.
Resolution 90, 2019 passes 7-0. Next is resolution 91, 2019.
A resolution confirming the Planning Commission's determination that a pet crematory is a similar use to the uses permitted in I-3 Heavy Industrial District.
I'd like to make a motion to adopt resolution 91, 2019. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Yield.
Like
Mr.
the pet cemetery.
You get the pet
It's not a
cemetery.
cemetery. I'm gonna explain a little bit.
Yeah, we
We're
have
gonna get to discussion.
Okay. Mr. Barr seconds. Is there any discussion?
So I had some questions when this passed through my office. This is strictly for domesticated animals. This is not other municipalities picking up roadkill and taking it to dispose of anything. This is probably contractually working with vets around the area, so when loved pets get put down, this is an option for the people. Not, I had some questions and concerns, so.
Thank you for clarifying.
Yeah.
So Stephen King's not coming to town?
No,
I could sleep tonight.
there's other secret parts of the city that.
Oh, Locust Grove thing again. There we go.
Okay, Shannon, please call the roll.
Mr. Steele?
Yes.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mrs. Stoffer?
Yes.
Mr. Fury?
Yes.
Mr. Scafidi?
Yes.
Ms. McPherron?
Yes.
Mr. Bellin?
Yes.
Resolution 91, 2019 passes 7-0. Now we're on to unfinished business, new business, and miscellaneous.
Nothing for me, sir.
Actually, I have a few things. And just for the record, I was at all the meetings that these guys went to as well. I would like to thank Daisy Walker and the Environmental Committee. It's amazing what they've done over the last 9 years since you've been part of it, so thank you very much. I'd also like to congratulate Lieutenant Wilson and wish the girls and boys soccer team good luck in their playoff. One last thing. Officer Ron today came into school, and we had Alice training at Dodge, and it's always just so nice to see the police officers come in and the way they work with the students. So I'd like to thank them. The Alice training is it's for the students at school for intruder alerts. So they put them at ease, and they show them strategies that they will need to do. But it's wonderful to see our community work with our schools that way, and Officer Ron does a wonderful job, and all the officers that were there. So I'd like to thank them. And that's all I have.
Mr. Bellin.
Truck or Treat will be on October 27th from 2 to 4 p.m. at the Twinsburg Fitness Center. It's a great event for the youngsters. They get to dress up and see some trucks and get some treats. Trick or Treat will be on Halloween night, which is Thursday, October 31st from 6 to 8 p.m. Please be careful and drive safe, as there will be a ton of kids out and about in the community. And finally, please make it a point to get out and vote on Tuesday, November 5th. Nothing further. Thank you.
I have nothing further. Thank you.
Mr. Fury.
Thank you. I forgot to mention when we were in our reports regarding the finance meeting, the September statement of cash came out. We started the year at $8.29 million. We're up $2 million to $10.286, and we have $20.34 in our unexpended balance at this time. This is a report that comes out monthly. I've actually shared it with Mr. Thus, who's in the office already. All the financial documents for the city are readily available if you just request them to the clerk or through the finance office. Wish everybody luck and success on their campaigns. Mr. Clark's in the audience as well. I swear to you that you will not see a Bill Fury sign after November 6th. I'm not working that day. I will get them all away. You will not have to see them again. Thank you.
It could be a 12-hour day.
It is.
Joanne.
We had a presentation during the caucus meeting from Eileen Shapiro's department on community and economic development, and there are some programs available to residents from the Summit County Public Health for lead-based paint control. There's some programs for home weatherization assistance, and Shannon's going to be posting those up on the website. And I want to also say that we have an amazing website that is very easy to look at on your phone. So thank you, Mr. Gutowski, and everyone for that. I did see an article that I wanted to bring up in the bulletin on October 9th, and it was about local towns working to attract visitors, and it talks specifically about Hudson and Cuyahoga Falls and Kent, and goes along with what we're talking about in terms of trying to make a downtown destination area. So I thought if anyone hasn't seen that article, you might want to look at it. I thought it was well written. I also did attend the 100th anniversary of the fire department, the steak roast, and I want to suggest anyone hasn't seen the video that Steve Basso put together. It's amazing, just the history of our fire department. I also wanted to bring up or propose a change in our December meetings. I would like to propose that we move the meetings to the 10th and the 17th. And if anyone want to have some discussion.
Well, we're just moving the one, correct? Because we already have one on the 10th.
Right.
I would prefer to move it to the 3rd. I understand why you want to have it on the 17th. But
well, that's what we're having discussion.
Yep. That would be my preference as well.
I have no problem with either.
Yeah, I'm fine with either right now.
Third's deer season.
I'll be in San Francisco on the 17th, but visiting my daughter.
I think it should get done as early in the month as possible, so I'm for the 3rd. Get it done, move on. So, right now it's 4:30, so.
12 roll.
Okay.
Call roll.
Make a motion.
Make a
Well,
motion.
it was in the.
I make a motion to move the December meetings. So we'll have one on the 10th and one on the 17th.
Need a second.
I'll second.
Mr. Fury seconds. We've discussed it. Shannon, call roll.
Ms. McFerrin?
Yes.
Mr. Fury?
No.
Mr. Scafidi?
No.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Bellin?
no.
Mrs. Stoffer?
Yes.
Mr. Steele?
This is such a hard vote.
I'm going to end up being the last man. Okay. Sorry, Joanne.
That's okay.
No. Okay.
Well, I'd like to
Well,
make a
we
motion
still
to
need-
move the last meeting of the month to the 3rd of December.
24th to the 3rd,
Yes.
Mr. Bellin?
Yeah.
I'll second that.
Okay, hold on. So the meetings will be you're proposing the meetings are the 3rd and the 10th?
Yes.
Correct. I second it.
Do we need to have discussion? No.
Yeah, and the reason we do this just is so we, are moving that last one out of the holiday. That's right. We do it every year.
Yeah.
This year would be on Christmas Eve.
On Christmas Eve, yeah.
Okay.
Call the roll, please.
Mr. Bellin?
Yes.
Mr. Scafidi?
Yep.
Mr. Steele?
Yes.
Mr. Fury?
Yes.
Mr. Barr? Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Yes.
Mrs. Stoffer?
Yes.
Ms. McFerrin?
Yes.
Yay. Okay.
December meetings will be on the 3rd and the 10th.
Thank you.
And so it was,
Oh, Shannon, you're gonna make sure that whoever's in here on those days, if there's anybody, we have the space, right?
Correct.
Thank you. Anything?
No, nothing else.
Okay. There, we're all here, so we don't need, go ahead.
I did want to wish everyone also a happy and safe Halloween and encourage everyone to vote on November 5th. And if you can't do that, maybe you can go down to the Board of Elections between now and then. Thank you.
I want to congratulate the Lady Tigers soccer team. The other night, they won their, I think it's the second round
Yep.
game in the state playoffs, 3-0. And I wish I knew when the next game was, but
Thursday.
Against Walsh.
Thursday against Walsh. What was that tie you doing?
Doesn't mean anything.
Oh, I forgot to mention the cross country.
Yeah.
The girls cross country.
Okay.
Good luck to them as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, we're all here, so we don't need to excuse anybody. We're adjourned. Good night.
Good night.